If you're like me, you don't just want a game you finish and forget. You want that one game you can always come back to, even months later, even years later, and it still hits. On Switch 2, that feeling is even better because I can bounce between handheld and TV without losing the vibe. So yeah, these are my 10 Switch 2 picks that feel basically endless. The kind of games that always give you a new build, a new route, a new challenge, or just a new reason to hang out in their world again. This is the kind of game that turns into a comfort world, which sounds funny because Night City is pure chaos. But once you get into the loop, it's hard to stop. I'll jump in just to do a couple of gigs, then suddenly I'm deep in a new build, testing smart weapons, messing with stealth, or going full cyber psycho with melee. The best part is how many different ways you can approach missions. Even stuff I already finished feels different when I come back with a new playstyle. And the city itself is the real hook. You can just drive around, catch weird side stories, and stumble into random moments that make the world feel alive. It's a game I can always return to no matter what mood I'm in. I've replayed parts of this game just for the feeling of it. The combat is the big reason it lasts forever for me. It's action, but it's also strategy, so I'm always tweaking materia setups, swapping party roles, and trying to get cleaner fights. Even when I know what's coming, the battles stay fun, because you can style on enemies in different ways, and if I'm not in the mood to grind fights, I can just soak in Midgar's vibe. The music, the characters, the little story moments that hit harder the second time. Intergrade also makes me want to revisit scenes with fresh eyes, especially if I've played the original game before. It's one of those replays where you notice new details every run.
Shit.
Musou games are dangerous for my free time, and this one is exactly why. It's the perfect I'll play for 20 minutes game that turns into 2 hours. The loop is simple, but it never gets old for me. You're clearing huge crowds, flipping objectives, swapping characters, and chasing that perfect mission rank. What keeps it feeling endless is the variety. Different characters play differently, and once I find a fighter I click with, I'll grind their moveset and get obsessed with optimizing combos. There's also something super satisfying about powering up, then coming back to earlier missions and melting everything. If you like the idea of a game that always gives you something to unlock, improve, or replay, this is one of those forever games you keep installed. Yakuza 0 is one of my favorite Infinite Vibes games. The main story is amazing, but the real reason I can play it forever is the side content. I can jump in and spend a whole session doing mini-games, messing around in town, and getting pulled into weird side stories that feel like little TV episodes. The cities feel cozy in a way, even when the story is serious, because there's always something happening around you, and the combat is simple but satisfying, so I don't get tired of brawling through streets. It's also a great game to replay because you start noticing how smart the writing is and how well it sets up characters early on. This is one of those games where I never feel like my time is wasted, even if I'm just goofing off. This is the kind of game I love on Nintendo systems because it's pure gameplay joy. Donkey Kong games always have that one more try energy, and if Bananza is built around tight platforming, secrets, and collectibles, it's basically made to be replayed. I'm the type who finishes a level, then immediately goes back because I know I missed something. And with DK, the movement usually feels so good that even redoing stages is fun. These are the games I pick up when I want something upbeat, something that doesn't stress me out, but still gives me skill-based challenges. If there are time trials, hidden routes, or bonus stages, that's the stuff that keeps me coming back forever. It's comfort food, but it still tests you in the best way. Metroid games have this special thing where they become better the more you know them. The first run is about discovery, but the second and third runs turn into this perfect rhythm where you're moving smarter, scanning faster, and planning routes without even thinking. That's why Prime 4 feels like a forever game to me. Even if you beat it, you'll come back for cleaner playthroughs, sequence breaks if they exist, and hunting every upgrade without a guide. I also love how exploration feels when you're in handheld mode, headphones on, just getting lost in that quiet sci-fi atmosphere. The world design in Prime games is usually so layered that I always find something new, even if it's just a hidden corner I somehow missed. It's the kind of game that becomes a yearly replay. Dragon Quest games are basically comfort RPGs, and 7 is the type that can eat your entire year if you let it. The reason it's a play forever pick is simple. It's huge, and it's built around steady progress that feels good every time you boot it up. You can do story, grind a little, work on jobs and party roles, and always feel like you moved forward. I'm also a big fan of the classic structure where towns and stories feel like their own little adventures. That makes it easy to come back after a break, because you always have a clear next goal. And with a reimagined version, I'm expecting quality of life updates that make replaying and experimenting with party setups even smoother. This is the type of RPG I live in for weeks at a time. If you've ever played a great Metroidvania, you know the deal. You finish it once, then you immediately want to start over because you learned so much. Silksong feels like it's built for that. The movement, the combat, the boss fights, those are the things you'll want to master, not just survive. And games like this always have that I can do this cleaner itch, where you go back and try a different route, a different charm style, or just see how fast you can reach a certain boss. The world is usually packed with secrets too, so even a long playthrough can still leave stuff undiscovered. For me, this is also a perfect handheld game. I'll hop in, explore one new area, fight one boss, and feel satisfied. Then I'll do it again tomorrow. Fallout 4 is one of those games where I can get distracted for hours and still feel like I did something. The main story is fine, but the real forever hook is exploration and building. I'll set out to do one quest, then I find a random building, a weird note, a hidden vault vibe, and suddenly I'm on a new adventure I made myself. The settlement system also keeps pulling me back. Even if I'm not trying to be creative, there's always something to improve, a new spot to claim, or a new layout idea. And because loot matters, every little trip out into the wasteland feels useful. This is also a great podcast game for me, where I can just roam, scavenge, and chill. It's not endless because it's perfect, it's endless because it's flexible. Resident Evil games are weirdly replayable, even when they scare you. Once you finish a good regame, it turns into this skill run thing where you want to do it faster, cleaner, with fewer resources, and maybe on a harder difficulty. That's why Requiem lands here for me. If it has the usual RE setup, tight areas, key items, puzzles, and big enemy moments, it's going to be built for repeats. The first run is about survival, the next runs are about mastery. And I always end up revisiting sections just to appreciate the atmosphere, because Capcom usually nails that tense horror mood. If there are unlockables, extra modes, or challenge rewards, that just adds to the forever feeling. It's the kind of game I beat, then immediately start planning my next run. Alright, that's my 10 Switch 2 games I could honestly play forever. These are the ones that don't just end, they keep evolving depending on how you play, what mood you're in, and how deep you want to go. If you want, I can also do a follow-up list with 10 more forever games, but focused on co-op and multiplayer, because Switch 2 is gonna